Marc Singer.
Hi. Sir.
Hi. How you doing? Good. I want to interview you for the group because you've had some phenomenal success the last few years, and I think that will help. Remember, we talked about there's people all along the spectrum of, some people are up ahead of you, some people are behind you, some people are starting, some people have been in there a long time. You've been in there a while now, particularly in the lifespan of the average real estate investor, about 4 or 5 years. And I want to hear about your business. And then I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions first, and then we'll go to the audience.
Sure.
So, who are you? Where are you from? How'd you get into real estate?
From Brigantine, New Jersey. Was involved in real estate and just really doing some flips without doing any fixing in the Pittsburgh area. Then I went into some home building and did some fill-in subdivisions in South Carolina. Then got involved in New Jersey doing fix and flips and investment real estate.
Okay, nice. And I met you 4.5 years ago?
Correct.
Around there?
Yeah.
And what were things like for you then? And so we can see what changed and what happened.
There were different challenges. I think then it was more that I needed some resources and I needed to figure it out. Now I think the market is just a lot more tight and more difficult.
Okay. So how many deals have you done now in the last 4.5 years?
About 42.
42. It's a nice amount of deals, about 10-ish a year. Tell us what other types of deals, what do you like to focus on?
Well, we developed a funnel. Mm-hmm. So when we got a lead, we saw if it was a good fit for a buy and hold and to increase our rental portfolio. If it didn't work there, could we make money as a fix and flip? If it didn't work there, could we wholesale the deal? If it didn't work there, was it worthwhile for us to list the property because we're licensed realtors? So we were able to accommodate whatever the customer needed.
Okay.
If they were ready to go, we had the tools.
Put yourself out there as a one-stop shop.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What were you finding to be your top marketing sources? Your number one ways of finding these deals?
Texting and calling.
Okay. Old school in a way.
Old school. Yeah. That's where we started.
Any particular focus for the types of motivated sellers?
We would do list stacking. So when we pulled our lists for marketing, we would try to get a couple different points on there. So if it was an out-of-state owner, high equity, or a divorce, or we would put those lists together. Pre-foreclosure list pendants, and try to get 2 or 3 points so we have a higher probability of finding a good lead.
Gotcha. So motivation comes in layers. Layers a stack. So stack a bunch of them together, and then you had better success. The more points they had, the easier it was to get there.
Right.
Okay. What did you use for list sources?
We used, I think it was lead source and PropStream, and we've used Batch, and now Deal Machine.
Awesome. Okay.
Deal Machine, Batch leads, PropStream, and lead source.
Lead source. Okay. Of the 42 deals, let's talk about the complexion of them. How many are flips, rentals, wholesales? How did that shake out?
Those are the flips and the wholesales.
Okay.
The wholesales are a smaller percentage.
Okay.
So most of them are fix and flips.
Fix and flips, rehabs.
Rehabs, okay. Correct.
What's your team like for rehabbing?
We've gotten really, really good at that. Uh-huh. It was through trial by fire, and we actually have crews that come in. We have our general contractor license. Also have a home builder license. It's not a good way for us to spend our time and money. We've got some crews that come in from Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. They'll come down here, especially if we have a couple of them lined up. It makes a lot of sense, and we'll have a house turned in about 1.5 to 2 months.
Nice.
For a full gut reno.
Fast.
Yeah, time is money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time is money, and these guys know what they're doing, and they work with us. The more business we give them, the more they respect us and work hard to try to please us.
Well, you're supplying a good amount of business, a good amount of money in their pocket.
We're good. We're repeat customers.
Yeah, and we're reliable. It's awesome that way. Who's we? What's your business
My business
team?
partner is Mike, and he actually works a full-time job.
Okay.
In addition to doing this, he finds a lot of. He's got a big network, so we got a lot of deals through his network and his friends and family and the people that he knows. And he also oversees the renovations and make sure that goes as smooth as possible.
Gotcha.
And I push him to keep things on time and on track and on budget.
And what else are your specific roles in the partnership?
I handle the legal, the paperwork. I make sure that things are done. We started with a base of your agreements and continue to tweak them so they're live documents. And every time we ran into an issue or concern, we address that and put that in our agreements.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. So you take my contracts as your base, and something comes up in a given county or a state or a jurisdiction, you go, oh, I could tweak this for that, and keep things
or different situations.
Yeah.
If we end up with we're buying the houses as is, but if we have a seller, we still have a seller disclosure form that I insist on having filled out, and that's even though we're buying it as is, we want to know what they know. We don't want them hiding anything, so we want them to be transparent with us. I'll walk into a dark room, just tell me if there's a lion in there so I know what I'm dealing with. If there's a buried underground storage tank, if there's a septic issue, if there's violations, you're required to disclose that.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, you know what you're dealing with. What are you, how'd you define your farm area?
Where we've concentrated on is mostly South Jersey. We've done some higher end flips to make me a little nervous because I don't want to get stuck with a 4,000 square foot house with marble bathrooms and heated floors, and we've done some of them, and we've made good money. I think it's just a lot easier to concentrate on the low hanging fruit, and that's the first time home buyer market. That used to be on the resale side, 250-ish. Now it's 350 to 370.
Gotcha.
In our market.
In your market, in your part of New Jersey where you're focusing this on.
Correct. Yeah, typically before on the 250 we'd buy in at like 60 to 80.
Yeah.
Now we're buying in 130, 140, but we're able to push out a $350,000 product.
Gotcha. So the spread's about the same. It's just the buy number and the sell number went up. So the bracket went up.
Yeah, everything went up proportionally.
And these are, how do you make, you mentioned that you analyze it in different ways based on what it could be. What's the criteria for a rehab flip? What's criteria for wholesale? What's criteria for just listing it? Listing it sounds like the catch-all if nothing else works, but how do you?
Yeah, I don't even want to take a listing if they're out of their minds as far as price goes, and it's just a huge waste of time.
Yeah.
So not really, very few fall in a bottom category. Wholesaling, unfortunately, and sort of speaking candidly, there's a lot of people that are willing to pay too much for properties right now.
Yeah.
And they're new and they want to get one or two under their belt, and that's what they're willing to pay.
But if it doesn't move, right? If usually a wholesaler starts marketing a crappy deal or crappy numbers, it's not going to sell, and then they're stuck with it, and the motivated seller isn't fixed because it doesn't move. Are you finding that? Or do people buy at overpriced?
People buy overpriced.
That's amazing.
People buy overpriced properties, yeah.
Do you follow up on those and wonder what happens?
Well, some of them turn into, and not ones that we've done, but some people that bought bad wholesale deals don't know what they're doing, go in there with a sledgehammer and start tearing the place apart with no plan, no permits, no ideas, and pay their then they'll pay their contractors 100% and never see or hear from them again. So they make a lot of these terrible decisions. Then I meet them at the RIA meetings, and they want to sell. I call them prehabs.
Yeah.
So those are deals. They come back to us and they say, well, they really want me to make them whole and fix all their mistakes. Yeah. And financially, it doesn't make sense for us to do that time-wise. So, I give them my information, and here's where we could be at for that property. And unfortunately, you're going to lose money, but the longer it takes, the more risk and the more you're going to lose. So after you've paid some insurance and some mortgage and some real estate taxes, and you're tired of that, call me, and we'll get this. We'll make this happen.
Okay. I know it's going to be a little bit hard because you've got 42 deals going, you're successful, it's happening. Try to think back. What were your hang-ups at the beginning? Were there things that held you back? Things that just didn't make sense, and then when that cleared, you started moving ahead?
I think a lot of the tools and the focus and the seller sheet there, just being free form without being robotic, and you have to ask this, you have to ask that. It becomes more conversational, and you can pivot when you're talking to a seller and respond to what they're saying, what their pain points are, and what they're looking for, and look at things from their perspective. Yeah,
it's hard to teach something that's open-ended, right? People want kind of rigid because then it's easier to theoretically learn, but it's not easier to use. It's hard so you kind of try to teach a framework that keeps you within the bounds, but lets you be you, and lets the seller be them, and lets conversation flow naturally. That way it's not, like you said, robotic.
Correct. The most difficult question that everybody has to breathe deep is that the best you can do? So you kind of keep narrowing down that price, but you have to ask that question, is that the best you can do? And you'd be surprised how many people respond just to that one simple question. So we also, I know earlier we were talking about matching their price, and I usually come back and say, it wouldn't, okay, I understand this is what you want. Sometimes two people look at the same object and one person sees diamonds and one person sees coal. I'm not sure if it's a situation here, but I'd like to come set up an appointment. And I think once we get in the door and we're able to establish that face-to-face rapport, it's a lot more difficult for them to try to squeeze more juice out of us. I mean, when you squeeze an orange, so much juice comes out. Then you keep squeezing, you get a few more drips, and your knuckles turn white. And that's where a lot of the sellers are at now. So they want everything out of it. So if we can go in there face to face with them, and Mike is really good at dealing with people. He's got a lot of patience, and he's a very charismatic person. So he'll go back in and be able to talk with them about other things besides the price. Oh, by the way, let's get back to the price, or and those types of conversations, and put a face on it. And we usually say, you understand what what you're looking for. It wouldn't be fair for me to just make it wouldn't be fair to you for us to just make this offer over the phone. I'd like to see you get the most amount of money for your property. So in order to accommodate that, we'd like to set up an appointment when we can come and talk to you face to face and look at the property and see what's going on, because 99.9% of the time they think everything is perfect.
Of course. And my house is beautiful.
And no, it's not. It may be in great shape, but it may not have been remodeled since 1940 or 1950. So there's that. There's also you deal with issues like functional obsolescence. If
it works, but it's old.
Well, or that there's no, people want a giant master bath and suite for certain types of homes. Your house doesn't have that. And then you talk about market specifics, and kind of bring it down to terms they understand. So today's home buyers, first-time home buyers, are YOLO. They're not Gen Y, Gen Z. They're you only live once, and they want everything, perfect. And in order to get your house to that point where we can sell it to the buyers that are buying today, here's what it's going to cost us, and we'll be very transparent and bring those numbers in. And some things the sellers really understand. They know what a roof costs, and we're giving them retail pricing. So here's what flooring costs. Here's what new cabinets cost. Here's your cabinets are oak. People aren't buying oak cabinets. We'll have to replace them all with white cabinets that have soft closed doors. And even though these cabinets work great, they're going to end up in somebody's garage.
Yeah, gotcha. So it's explaining it to them.
Correct.
Things are different. Let's talk stats. 42 deals. Those are the good ones. How many failed ones to get that many?
How many?
Like, what's your marketing funnel? How much do you have to put out? How much do you have to deal with in terms of inbound or outbound phone calls to get so many ones that you're talking to? How many do you go visit to get the ones that are turning into deals?
When we go visit, we probably close 60, 70%.
Okay.
So that's a good ratio. The cold calling and the texting, which we can't do anymore.
Yeah, texting is a pain in the butt.
Yeah, you'll get shut down after a week if you find a way to do it. We were getting maybe 1 to 2 leads a day out of 1,000 texts, and when I say 200 phone calls, that was attempted calls. Mm-hmm. They weren't completed calls. They weren't talking to 200 people. So we used a 3-line dialer that would make 3 calls at one time, and when one connected, then it would shoot the call over to the agent.
Okay. Like a virtual assistant agent phone answerer.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We did have a virtual assistant. She was from the Philippines. She sounded like she was from Kansas. Perfect. It was amazing. It was the perfect storm. She's gone now, so we can't make phone calls and do texts. So,
what have you replaced it with?
We're doing direct mail, and we're also doing expanding the network. So we're going back to the people that we sold houses to, that we bought houses from, and seeing if we can do a friends and family, the next lead from those people. When we rehab a house, we put up a giant banner in front and letting people know that this is a new project, and we get some leads. We get some leads from that as well.
Nice. Okay.
How big is your banner?
How big is the banner?
It's as big as the second floor of the house, or if we don't have a second floor in the house, we'll put stakes in the ground. So I think it's probably like 24 by 40. It's a
nice.
big banner.
Gets the neighbor's attention.
Does.
You get code enforcement's attention too.
Sometimes. Same thing. We really didn't get anything from bandit signs. We did a lot of bandit sign advertising, and a lot of people do that, but we got very few calls from that.
It's interesting. Bandit signs, it's almost random response, but it works, and then it doesn't, and then it works, then it doesn't,
mm-hmm.
and you can be in a cycle where it never pops for you.
But
Where did you put that sign? That 24 by 40?
In the front yard, or on the second story,
on the
house,
property itself,
or on the porch, or wherever it fits.
The one that you're trying to sell.
No, the one
that's being rehabbed.
The one that's being rehabbed, right. And it also helps in the resale and the outsale part of it, because people, especially when the market was super hot, we'd have the house pre-sold before it was finished. And we'd give them limited authority to come in, and we're not going to do blue, paint the room baby blue, robin egg blue with sprinkles in it, and girls' room pink. But we'll let you choose from like 3 different colors of beige.
So they feel like they're in control.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's your
Exactly.
messaging on that banner?
It just is another rehab project from our company, National Max Redevelopers. Fully renovated house coming soon.
And is your phone number on the banner too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Phone number, website, and email.
Another rehab coming soon. Is that basically what you would put on there?
Yeah, another quality rehab from National Max Redevelopers coming soon. On our information.
Does that sound extremely surprising or sophisticated? No, it's kind of what you'd expect, right? Yet it works. You have to do it, right? Makes sense. What other questions you guys have?
You were talking about stacking parameters for the lead source companies when you're doing that. And you used a phrase that I think I learned in business law, list pendants or something like that.
Right.
Does that mean that they've been served papers for a foreclosure?
They've been served papers that action is being taken against them. That a legal action is pending, and that's different in different states as far as their notification requirements. But it's just an easy box to check. Once it goes into foreclosure, the time frame gets real tight, and it becomes a difficult deal to do. And we've had people that called and said, it's going to sheriff's sale, in 2 days. Can you help me? And the answer is no. We can't help you unless you can get the sheriff's sale postponed.
So your list is out of state currently, or at some point, is out of state owners that had high equity and had a list pendants?
Yeah, we would be able to tweak those, I think there were a lot of different things you could check if they were smokers or if they were divorced or if they were Republicans. There was a lot of different choices in there, so you just really need to find what works and tweak that list and do more of that. So if you're finding you get a good response from this list, just copy, cut, copy, and repeat.
Is there a time of year that it works better? As far as your direct mail, it makes no difference?
No, it doesn't make any difference.
No seasonal pattern?
No, just, the only bad time is around Christmas and New Year's. People aren't really interested in doing anything at all. And they're just, focused on the holidays. But aside from that, the rest of the year is fair game.
Strong.
Do you ever have anyone in the neighborhood, like neighbors coming by asking you if you could renovate their living room or part of their house?
Yeah, we do, but we don't. We could, but we don't. That's not.
You're not a contractor, you're an investor.
Right. We want to stay in our lane. But to that same point, we've sold houses to neighbors who want to have their daughter or their family move next door to them.
Okay.
Right.
That happens a lot. Friends want to be there. So it's like a marketing campaign to the neighbors to let them know, hey, this house is coming around. Do you know anyone that wants to live around here? Because people are like, oh, I've always loved your neighborhood. I want to live there.
Right.
Well, good. Here's an opportunity.
Right. Realtors farm that area and they send out the postcards. We've got this giant banner, so they can't, not say it.
If you were starting over now with the knowledge you have, would you do anything differently? Or would you structure your business any differently than you initially did at the very beginning?
I think I'd be more specific as far as marketing budget and be more precise. You got to commit how much you want to spend and where you want to spend it. This just happened to grow organically. It is as much as people want to do projections, it's impossible, in my opinion, to project how many deals you're going to have. It just depends on the deal. So, as I said to somebody that asked me, said, well, how are you successful? And it's because we don't go for singles and doubles because they could easily turn into a loss. we look for triples and home runs. And those are the deals. Those are the deals that we go after. Triples and home runs. Baseball.
The whole thing was a baseball analogy.
Baseball analogy.
It wasn't about units. It was, yeah, at the beginning. Sorry, yeah, it was a baseball analogy. Yeah. Don't. Yeah.
It's a home run.
Yeah. What's that? Avoid the gun.
Don't
That's
waste
fast.
your time on anything that doesn't look like it's golden.
Those more fall into the wholesale range, and we do on a wholesale, usually it's typically a $10,000 or $20,000 fee. I don't know what percentage wise where that comes out to. There's a lot of wholesalers out there now that are looking to take the entire pie and then some. So those deals just don't make
Screwing
sense.
it up, and they give wholesalers a bad
Right,
name.
and there's no barrier to entry to being a wholesaler. So there's a lot of them out there.
What do you mean wholesalers who want to take the whole pie? Like they just have an assignment fee that's exorbitant?
Yeah, they'll calculate out some ridiculous, ARV outsale price that's not based on reality.
Yeah,
They'll take some beautiful mansion, divide the square footage by the last sale price, and say, okay, well this house is $400 square foot, and it's on the ARV, and use that. They're just not. They either don't care or don't know what they're doing.
They're not comping correctly.
Right.
Yeah. So you have found, Mark, your success is strict criteria. You have criteria. Say and you're putting that into the baseball analogy. The really, really good deals, we'll do those. The home runs and the triples, when you start getting down to maybe I only get the second base, first base, you start to lose interest, or you change what your extra strategy is. We'll wholesale the singles. We'll do the home runs and thirds and triples. And then if you're not even sure you can get the first, then you'll just list it.
Correct. But if it doesn't make sense to wholesale, it really doesn't make sense to list it. We just did a listing on a house that we sold, and it went to highest and best, and it sold for $70,000 above ask, and I didn't even think it was going to come anywhere near asking price. And I mean that there was 2x4s holding the first floor up, from the basement. It was a lot of termite damage, a lot of issues. It was being sold as is. And I would have paid as a rehabber maybe 100, 125, maybe in there, 150. I listed it for 225 against my better judgment because I was asked to do that. And it sold for 280 something, 285. And it was a bidding war.
Okay.
Was that back about 2 years ago?
No, that was about 2 months ago.
Oh, that's okay.
Is that because there's so little inventory in Brigantine right now?
That wasn't in Brigantine. The houses in Brigantine go for millions of dollars. We don't do any of them in Brigantine. This is other areas in South Jersey, and that was Atlantic County. So that was still towards the shore. Most of our rehabs are in the southwestern portion of the state.
Best decision you ever made as an investor, and worst decision you've ever made as an investor? Anything goes.
Best decision was to do private financing, and we're working with a private lender that makes life a lot easier. We don't have to, we take pictures, we get our draws. Everything is very, very easy. We don't have to do appraisals. It's a much simpler process to do that. The worst decision was we got talked into doing a joint venture deal with some guy that was neurotic from Florida. Not you.
It happens.
And
A different neurotic. Just
yeah. He would start calling and texting at 3 a.m. and threatening if I didn't call him right back that he was going to call his attorney and
Middle of the night. Good luck.
And he was like that with everybody, which didn't work well. So I'd get we'd be on conference calls. This was one house. We'd be on conference call. Hey, the township won't talk to me anymore.
Gosh,
I think they're getting a restraining order. Can you deal with them? I'm like, would you stop calling people? Stop talking to people. And it was really, and we lost $30,000 on that house. Well, we bought him out at his profit, and we resold it, and we lost $30,000. That was the only deal we ever lost, but that was the best $30,000 we ever lost.
Paid to get rid of him,
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Careful who you
learned.
take on as even a JV partner.
Yeah. He actually came back with other deals and was like,
Thanks, but no thanks.
Stop calling me.
How did he pitch himself initially that it sounded like it was going to work out?
His family is very wealthy. And his wife's family is very, very wealthy, and he wanted to try to make a legacy for his son, who is a realtor, and not a really good one. And can you help show him the ropes? And I see you're doing this, and hey, we can do build 20 houses here and 30 houses there, and so well, let's start with one and see how that goes. And fortunately, that's where we were at, and getting the land, and since we were had our builder's license, finding the land was part of what he was doing, and he would get the land under contract. But then he kind of started interfering and paying different trades and different contractors ahead of schedule. And it was we look at things as a percentage of completion. So if you're supposed to be doing the basement or the septic or whatever, when you hit certain milestones, that's when you get paid, not before. So he was overpaying people, which led to them not sticking to their contracts and having all kinds of extras and just not staying to his department. He didn't have to do anything, and he was really annoying on top of everything. And it was like an everyday nightmare.
Marc, what's your cost of funds right now from your private lender with this?
It's friends and family, and it depends on the deal. 12 to 15% with 1 point origination.
Wow.
Oh, I was going to ask, with that particular person that didn't work out, did you have an operating agreement?
Yes, we did.
You did. And
We
you
did.
just
Didn't.
And you
It
didn't
didn't.
ever have to go the legal route.
It didn't matter. No. No. It just kind of got to that conversation with I'm going to jump off the roof or I'm going to push you off the roof. You choose. You got to go.
Nice.
So how did you determine how much she was going to offer him? I know no amount probably would have been, too much for you if you really wanted to get rid of him in a sense.
He had this lengthy, bizarre calculation on what he thought the project was worth and what he thought could be made on it, what he thought his share was worth, and we were busy, and we just wanted to be done with it. So move on. Time to move on.
You talked about how when you started it was calls and texts, and you can't really do that anymore. Has that affected your cost of acquisition? Is it much different now than it was 4 years ago?
It's harder to find the deals that make sense. So we're doing direct mail and, like I said, network marketing more. We should probably be doing more direct mail, and we're kind of regrouping to do that. But it was definitely easier before, and but the good side is when you think about direct mail. I mean, how many emails do you get each day? How many texts do you get each day? How many phone calls do you get each day? You're not going to talk to somebody, with some strange number. So the response rate, but how many pieces of mail do you get each day? 1, 2, and so you're going to get in front of them, and they've got something that they're going to hold on to. We've had people that had direct mail pieces. They called back a year later. It was an estate sale. This was in my mother's file, So she must have wanted to sell the house to you.
Yeah.
You know, we had another one that said, she called and said, I know you guys, I've got a lot of people trying to buy this house, but I know you guys are legitimate. And I said, well, thank you. What makes you think that? She said, because you've sent 3 pieces of mail, and everyone else just sends one and
give up.
one and
done.
One and gives up.
Man, that amount of times that happens. There's the third part of the multiplication, the multiply, the repetition cycle, third part of marketing for finding a deal. It's a repetition. It adds so much credibility to you because most people, I watched whoever on late night TV, I saw the infomercial, I bought the kit, and it didn't work. They only sent it out once. But then people are going, oh, wait a minute, I've seen this guy before. I've seen that name before. I've seen that logo before. I've seen that whatever before. They've seen that brand. It starts to become, that might be interesting. They've got to see it more than once.
Right. If you take a look at like corporate America, what they do is they'll bombard you. They have very lengthy commercials with their brand, with this and that and the other, and then they incrementally shorten them, but they're consistent with them, and you still get that flow of commercials out there because they're getting their name out there, and they're paying a little bit less for the shorter commercials, but that consistency is what gets things done, and you have to be patient and not fall off the cliff and say, hey, this isn't working because you're not getting a response. And that's how we know when we did mailers out in December, people, we didn't get any responses back to a couple mailers, and that was the December theory.
Okay.
So kind of going back to like the best decision, worst decision, like not worst decision, but kind of like one of the most impactful adjustments that you made. Like, what was one of those things that you realized like I could tweak it here and it would be much better?
To simplify things and have processes and control. I'm a big list guy. With little check boxes, so even on the out sales, when we go to closing, I've got cancel the insurance, cancel transfer utilities, get a loan lien mortgage release signed. I want insist on having the HUDs not the day of. I want to see them a couple days in advance, so we have time to correct what they are going to get wrong. So procedures, I think, is real. It makes life a lot easier.
And that's with the title company or the attorneys that are preparing the HUDs, or are you talking about realtors?
No, I'm a realtor. But if a realtor, so when we're doing the out sale, when we're selling the house to the end buyer. There's that's just one example of procedure list of everything that needs to be done to have that happen. Being consistent, we like to deal with one title company. We love them. They're amazing, and we get preferential rates because the amount of business we do with them, and they make life easy. They make life easy. So in New Jersey. By law, the buyers get to choose, but we get to persuade them. If they want to take your offer, you have to accept this title company. It's just going to make it easier. Dealing with strange title companies, it's a whole. You're starting from scratch. They want 3 picture IDs. and in lieu, I had 2. In lieu of the 3rd picture ID, they wanted an affidavit from a neighbor that knew me for more than 10 years. So a notarized affidavit. Yeah. So those
practical.
Things, yeah, those things get avoided by working with good teams and good partners, and the same for the contractors and the people that we do business with. we had sold a house and something happened. The hot water heater blew up like the next a month later, and we repaired it. We weren't required to do that, but a lot of people in the RIA, oh, you're stupid for doing that. And it's like, no, because one person that's unhappy will tell 100 people. Those 100 people tell hundreds of other people, and we have a memorable name, and we don't want to ruin the reputation that we worked hard to get.
What processes do you have in place to best estimate your rehab budget? And then once you start the rehab, how do you best stay in line with costs?
We're pretty good when we do a scope of work. So we do so much volume, and we really are experts at doing the repairs. We can come up with a general number. Sometimes, we have to take from this part of the budget to do that, or we want to improve something a little bit more. Maybe if we change that, but we'll know going into a project if we're going to be removing a beam or doing anything structural, and do we need engineering, and what needs to happen. Some of the silly things that we ran over budget was recently we did a house, and the neighbor was parking on that house's property and using that, and the conversation didn't go so well to tell them that you need to not use. So then we had to put up a $2,000 fence, and every time we put the fence up, he'd call the city, and and it was a lot of work. We had the fence police to deal with over something. Just don't park your truck over here. So sometimes there's unseen expenses, but for the most part we can estimate what it's going to cost for an HVAC system, depending on the size of the house, how many square feet. Same with the flooring. You just take the square footage of the house. You don't need to get down to that granular where, okay, well, this is a closet, or this is that. We know what it's going to cost to paint the interior, to paint the exterior. Based on the square footage, we know what the cost of siding is going to be. If there's some unforeseen things, could be after we buy a house, there's mold in the crawl space that we need to have remediated and deal with.
So on kind of that note, your repair costs are different because you work with your contractors, you give them a lot of work, and when we did our bus tour with our RIA, we got a price sheet that was a certain price for us. But when you're negotiating the price with the seller and you say, look, you need X, Y, and Z done, and it's going to cost this much and this much, are you giving them the price it's going to cost you, or the price it's going to cost them?
Retail price, because they don't know what your price is, and until you sign a contract, you don't know what your price is going to be either. So they know retail pricing. They know they can look up Home Depot and or Lowe's and see what a new kitchen's going to cost, and that's the price.
Okay, and that's where you get your retail price, is like Lowe's or Home Depot.
Correct, but we don't buy a lot of stuff from them.
No. The only price that matters to them is what they could get it done for, which is the retail price. The fact that you can do it for less is a value play on your part. You can do it at a professional price or a discount price or a volume price. That's one of your advantages. But when you're talking to them, if they were to go shop it around, that's the price they're going to pay, which is not your price. So that's a value play on your part.
Right. I think only one time we had someone say, "Well, how about if you do the repairs at your cost?" And no, it doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. But that was only one time.
Other questions? Sorry, thought I saw a hand. Sorry, yeah, I got you. All right, Marc.
But yeah, what's most important, and that was when we formed our partnership, and I sat down and I said, I've got three roles to being your business partner and being in business with you. And that is, number one, I want to have fun. I want to enjoy what I do. And number two, I want to have as little aggravation as possible. And that's generally a function of the number of employees you have. And number three was to make money and make a living.
Yeah.
In that order, and that was what was important to me. And usually, if you enjoy what you do and you're good at it, the money does come.
It follows. So you've achieved all three. I've been happy about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm having a lot of fun.
What? How many employees do you have?
None.
None. It's just the two
Zero
partners.
employees,
That's it.
correct.
Everyone else is a contractor
Everyone's
or.
subcontractor, correct.
Yeah, I like it that way.
Do you use a bird dog? Like Tom was talking about?
We used to. Now we use deal machines, so you can do driving for dollars, and you can even do virtual driving for dollars. We used to have bird dogs. We'd talk to the, Mike works for the phone company, so he's driving around all the time. So he's the best bird dog, and he keeps an eye on tabs on properties and clicks it and says, sends them letters and that's it. We used to pay mailmen a finder's fee, so they would let properties that they couldn't, that the receptacle was full, or the grass was overgrown, or the gutter was falling off, or it was just in bad shape.
What would you give them?
$500
For a fine, did you actually do
for a closed deal. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, which is great for them, great for us. It worked.
Yeah, they're walking around anyway.
Yeah, $1 million mailman. You heard of him?
No.
Tom,
Tom Nardo,
New Jersey guy
well known.
originally.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what he did. He was a mailman. He would drive, and that's how he made his way through it. as a
Absolutely.
mailman. Yeah, it works.
Very nice. What else? What else would you add? Anything I missed? Anything we missed? Something we should know that nobody thought?
No, it's really about. And somebody asked me about. Well, I'm not a good salesperson, and it's not really about. I think the most important thing is to have confidence and be and not be afraid to engage. And a lot of the things we've had success with is you look at things from their perspective and how they feel, and you want them to be comfortable. It's not always about you making 100% of the deal. It has to work both ways. So you start tearing down the wall. Sometimes you have to have that talk that's not about bedrooms and baths and so what is your motivation? Oh, I want to move with my daughter. Well, that's great, and what does she do, and and what are your plans, and those types of personal conversations. And once you put that kind of we're really sincere. We're not just doing that to get the deal, and it shows. You have to be sincere. People have a BS meter, and they'll know, and they'll call you out on it. And the other point was, you were talking about pushing back, and if somebody says I've got another offer, I've got this, I've got that, and they're just making that up. You do have to push back, but you have to give them enough escape room.
Yes.
To not look like a trapped rat, because they get caught in a lie. They panic and they won't ever talk to you again. Like, oh, they got me, and I'll just have to deal with somebody else. And the best technique, which I learned from Dale Carnegie, was I call it feel, felt, found. And very, very simple. So I understand. So somebody says, oh, I'm not sure I want to sell my house at this time, maybe in a year or two, and we'll have to see how it goes. So that's their objections. I understand how you feel. Worked with a lot of clients in the past that have felt the same way. what they found was that it was an easy process to deal with us, and that we were an honest company, and in the end, they got to be happy, and they were glad they made that decision.
I have a question for you, Marc.
Yes.
What is the things that you appreciate the most about Tom, and the training that he has provided over the past 4 years?
There's a lot of people doing training. The Tom is just very sincere, and he's not, he flipped houses. He's speaking from experience, not somebody that's an educator. So I think that's the difference. I think Tom is very sincere and very interested in everybody's success. He's put together a very simple plan. I don't think anybody follows it 100%, but there's more nuggets of wisdom and tools and information that's valuable. So you can pick and choose them, and if you do them, it'll be very difficult not to be successful.
Is there any reason why anybody here can't knock out 42 deals?
No.
Got it? Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.
And now he is officially.
I think we have to make him. Yes, one, and then I think we need to bring him into the 3X club. You've hit 3X since you started working with me, so it's good. Yeah. You're joining some good company out there.
I don't think you haven't explained, did you?
I haven't totally explained. I was going to put the new one on the chart with the 2X club and the 3X club, but
like the Golden Globes.
Exactly.
You're all starting here. You're at Ignite, right? You attended the boot camp. Woohoo!
Yeah.
The next step is you need to start your marketing campaigns, but they're really running, and have made 36 offers. I can upgrade you to this today or tomorrow. If you haven't done anything, you have until tomorrow at 3 p.m. to make 36 calls, and I will upgrade you to Accelerator. Then you're gonna move to Turbo, the first deal complete, and you keep moving. Nitro, three deals, 50K in profits. Supersonic, 100 in 1 year, and then total traction is 250. You quit your job and you have achieved freedom for a year plus. And then the next category is
2X club. The clubs are new in the last year, so people that have doubled their money since they've been with me and tripled their money. It's a 2X club and a 3X club. So we now have people at all levels. You're up in 3X with good company. Your fellow New Jerseyites there.
It was really interesting to see the same people that at the same boot camp have been super successful.
Yeah, it's really good.
Superstars.
Godfrey's in there as well. Godfrey's at the last event. I don't think you've met him before. He's good people. So we've got a bunch of people. I want you all to work your way up. You'll be getting different level keychains and awards as we go. That was part. If you notice on the Wins and Wisdom worksheet, it was you want to be considered for new keychain level. That's how we do it as well. So it's awesome.
Yeah. If I can add one more thing, a lot of people look and say, okay, well he's done so many deals, and I've just done one. It all started with one deal. That's true. That's how, and that's how it starts.
Yeah. That sounds like was it Confucius? The journey of 1,000 steps.
Yeah.
That's the first step.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't Confucius. Maybe it was Bruce Lee.
Well, this is real estate.
This is some famous Asian.
There was no house flipping back then. Absolutely.